Hey guys, what's going on? It's Jesse Ricca back here for another lesson. If you haven't heard, IK has released AmpliTube 5. It's been out for a little while now. We're going to talk about how I go about building tones on here, and we're going to just talk about the real basic fundamentals of how to use the program. I am not a very tech savvy person. I understand how to use plugins and stuff, basic recording stuff. But I am not by any means a super technical guy when it comes to computers and stuff like that. I need to be walked through stuff. So if I can knock this out and get some good tones, I know you guys can knock it out and get some good tones. So we're going to jump right into it and talk about how we can start building tones here with AmpliTube 5. We have our main screen over here. And just like in the last one, it's set up where you actually adjust the knobs on the amp itself, right? So the first thing I do is, check out what kind of change. So this is a big thing that they've added here, is that if you click this little arrow button right here, it's going to allow you to choose different amps and send 2 different signals. Then we have 3 different signals, right? And then you can blend them. I tend to really just stick with one for right now. We're going to stick with one for right now because this is literally like you have to set 3 different amps. And you can use, you can save all this stuff because if you spend the time to build the tone that has 3 different amps blended, and you can also use them stereo, which is really cool. So if you have like this, let me go back, like this 2, this is the stereo one actually. You can send them out stereo, have one in the left side, one on the right side, give you like a more of a natural chorus kind of sound. So the way I build my tone, this is set, it comes, when you open it up, for whatever reason, it's always on the high gain setting. I'm not a guy who's, I play a lot of jazz and funk and stuff, so I'm not really using a ton of high gain stuff. And if I do use gain, I like to put it on with a pedal. I really like to get a really good clean tone, which I think is really the basis of everything when it comes to your tone. Just build a really good clean tone, and then if I want to layer on some like overdrive or distortion, I do it with pedals, and they have a bunch of pedals in here. We're going to talk about how to use them. They change that up just a little bit, but it's still pretty similar. If you look on mine, I have the full package of AmpliTube. So I have like the highest one you can get. I have all the stuff unlocked here. So if you're looking at my screen and you're looking at yours going, dude, I don't have any of these amps, that's because you might have one of the smaller packages they have for AmpliTube. I have the full version. So I'm going for a really nice clean tone. Everyone loves a Fender, right? Let's see if we can get a twin. Here's a twin. Excellent, right? So I do that. I EQ it here, right? We're gonna EQ it on the amp. I'm playing a lot of jazz. You know me, guys. If you've been here through live lessons, I do a lot of jazz, a lot of funk, a little dirt under here from the gigs last night. Oh man, from the gig last night. So let's check it out. So I like to EQ mine just like how I would EQ my regular amp. I actually go a little high on the treble. Right about 8. I keep the mids probably down a little bit, like around 6. In the bass, I probably match the mids, maybe a little more. And then I do roll back my tone on my actual guitar, because I'm trying to get it with a really nice clean tone. Right, so that's a pretty nice clean tone right there. I always turn down the reverb a little bit. It seems like they always have the reverb pretty cranked up when you first put it on. So I bring it down, and I've noticed the reverb on here is pretty sensitive. So be careful with that. Too much reverb can make it sound really muddy and hard to understand, like what exactly you're playing. right? So that's a pretty nice clean tone we got going right there. And we're not into any of the good stuff yet. So even just the sound you're going to get flat out of there, just doing the EQ on the actual amp itself, is going to give you a great tone. But we're going to really dial it in, and this is my favorite part of this whole program, where I think what really makes a big difference here. Oh, let me go here. Here we go. Is this miking aspect they have, right? So this thing is absolutely awesome. So we can physically move the mics like this, right? And we can blend them. Here, let me go ahead and pull this up. We got the, we're going to keep the, you can actually, let's talk about this real quick. You can change out the speakers in the amp. I'm going to stick with the speakers they have in there because they actually use the speakers that come in a twin reverb. So this amp has actually been mic'd up in real life and you know, modeled after that amp. And actually, we're going to talk about it, how many ways they've mic'd it. They actually mic'd this amp 600 different ways. It's crazy, the technology they've put into this. We're going to talk about the VIR tech that they used to give us these awesome sounds. So we're going to come over here to the mics, right? Here we are in the mic section, right? So what's so cool about this is this room mic. I think that's what makes it sound so much more real than anything else. Making sure that they got the really good sounds in the room and blending in that room sound with your direct signals, right? So like these mics here, we have like this is like a simulated 57, and this is some sort of simulated condenser. You can as they were before, you can switch those out, right? Just like in the old one, you can pick different ones. Like here's that, yep, dynamic 57, right? And a bunch of different models. Again, I have the full package, so if you don't have the full package, you won't be able to access all these, but you can really go nuts. It's awesome. They got a couple ribbons down here. They got some excellent stuff. The condensers. I really like this guy, this bottle one. I thought this one sounded great the other day. I was messing with that. I tend to leave the 57 on there sometimes if I switch it out. I do like this. This is almost like those. Oh, I got the wrong one selected here. Let me go back. I have used these at gigs before, and I've noticed they got a really nice tone. This is modeled after, what are they called? Are they Sennheisers? What are these? I forgot what the name of these are modeled after. Maybe I'll look that up a little later. But these are great mics too, so I tend to use these too. All right, let's just go ahead. And you won't notice a huge difference in the mics. Those are more subtle differences that you're really going to hear. Each mic does have its own tone, but remember, it's not going to like drastically change things. It's going to give you maybe make it a little bit darker or a little more bright. Might give it a little more warmth. And we're going to talk about where we place them, right? That's a big part of the sound that you're going to get, because this thing is modeled after guys who are really miking amps. So these amps were actually mic'd, and that's how they got these tones. So let's just go ahead now and start to kind of fade in how we want our room to sound. Right? So this room mic, whether we move them closer, farther apart, that's going to change. And as you notice, as I move it here, it changes the width. That's how far apart they are. Right? So this is all basic stuff, but this is the stuff that really gets your stuff to sound good. And I try to get a nice blend. I put a little more room in there than maybe than what they have preset. And I think it gives me more of like a real sound. Just a whole bunch of D major stuff there. Yeah. Okay, cool. So now I got my blend pretty good, and I've set them up approximately where I would like them to be. And now we're going to dial in exactly where we want them. So this is where we're going to go to that VR tech, And check this out. So it says we have it way out here. We're going to bring that in a little bit, bring it up and over. And this is going to give you exactly where, right? So we have 600 different points on here that you can choose. So what this is, it's like, this is getting extremely specific with where you want that microphone placed on your amplifier, right? Like if we were doing a gig or anything else, that's a big part of how it's gonna affect your sound drastically where you place it, right? So this really lets you dial it in. I don't like it right on the tweeter, so this is like right on the tweeter, right? That means it's going to give you a lot of highs. I want more body, right? I want a little more body out of it, so I pull it off to the side and out, and this you can really like you can go all day on this because they've given you so many different points. It's literally 600. So I tend to do it how I would mic my regular live amp, off the tweeter, right, and either a little bit down, or a little bit down, or a little bit. I tend to go a little down. I do like the bottom, not the bottom left, but down to the left on my speaker. All right. Right? And so this is like changing exactly where you want the sound. This is sort of like the range. So let's check that out. Now let's listen to what we have now that we've kind of messed with the IR tech and gotten it right where we want it on the speaker. Cool. So we already got a great tone going here, and we can blend in a little bit more of, I'm going to pull this out a little bit. And turn up that one just a little bit more. I'm going to pull these out just a little more. See if I like that. Yeah, that sounds nice. Cool. Got a great tone going here. Now, we also have some cool room options, and that's going to change your sound. This changes your sound, I think, even more than the mics do, where you want that thing to be mic'd up. So I tend to use a small studio. We're gonna redo this a little bit here. I probably should have ran over that as I was going down, as I was blending. Let's just check out that room sound. So this room isn't gonna have like a whole bunch of like echo in it. You can go through these rooms. They even have a subway. So this is gonna have, as you can imagine, that room sound is gonna be like crazy with a little bit. It's gonna sound like things are bouncing off the walls in there and stuff like that. They got a bathroom, so again, you can imagine it's gonna sound like, you know, a bunch of the sound is gonna be bouncing off all the porcelain. You know what I mean? So this is cool. They got a lot of cool settings. I tend to just use the studio ones. They have an amp closet. This one gives you a super like. Again, it's supposed to simulate a padded room, so you're not gonna have a bunch of like really any natural like kind of reverb or anything like that from that room. I tend to use this one. It deadens it enough that it doesn't sound like it's in like some crazy place. This is the small studio, and I like that it has some air to it. You know, the distance between your ear and the amp really changes the sound. So that room mic is really captures that distance. So this is the one I tend to use. Nice, sounds great. I really this tone already is sounding good. Let's go ahead, and now that I've got the clean tone pretty much where I want it, and again, you can go through a bunch of different stuff here. We have a ton of options for absolutely everything. Just the amps and stuff, and the speakers you can change out. You can really build something so custom for you, right? So let's talk about some of the effects now. I'm going for we've got a nice, really good clean tone. Now that I've dialed in my clean tone and I got it where I really like how the signal sounds. This is where I start adding things. Where I was like, okay, I want to do something maybe a little more fusion sounding. Let's start adding some effects to it, right? And the way we add effects in this is a little different from how we had it before. Before it was they had a section for a pedal board, right? I guess our section for the pedal board would really be just before the amp. You would want to think of this as like how you would set up live. If you set up live, it would be your guitar, right? And they have a bunch of options here for DIs and stuff. They have your tuner up front here, right? Got your tuner, works awesome. Should probably actually just real quick give it a little. Well, the Gibson's staying pretty much in pretty good tune here. That G string, the dreaded G string. Careful, guys. The G string. Works awesome, right? Works just like how any tuner would. You got it. I think it's calibrated. It's calibrated to 440, so you get to go on that. So it's just like how you would want to set up your pedal board, right? We have our tuner here, so it gets a direct, clean signal. We have a DI here, so we can send a separate signal directly to the board, which I think is really cool. So this way, if you want to, blend it with just a super clean signal, and it makes your notes a little clearer. So this is really cool. You can blend all this stuff here. So this is just kind of another way to. The amount of ways you can alter things and blend them are just really crazy in this thing. You can just really go to town on blending everything and making it really custom. You can customize almost absolutely everything here. It's crazy. But I do love this little DI option. I think it's really cool. Right here, and again, this is we're sending this signal into a bunch of different amps. We're sticking with just the one. Right, now let's go ahead and start adding some effects. Now we're going to come up here to add effects. You can add effects two ways. You can add them in the rack. I tend to add my effects in the rack. So my delays, my choruses, my reverbs. I put that in the rack. I notice that it sounds a little, for me, I feel like you get a better blend when you put that stuff in the rack as opposed to when you put it on a pedal board. And you can really dial it in and have it be a little more subtle, and it won't affect your tone of coming from the board, right? So if you have all those effects on after the driver, so the driver is slightly affecting the chorus and so on down the chain. That's why I like to put my delays and choruses in the rack. But let's start with some cool pedals they have here, and we can start building our board. Our little pedal board on here. And again, if you don't have the full version, you're like, dude, I don't have any of these pedals. I have the full version here, and they have a bunch of great stuff. These EQs, again, another way to really dial in that tone. I tend to use these EQs. I put them on at the end of my chain. I'm going to put it first, but you can move these around. I'll show you how to do that too. And we're going to put on what I think is really cool pedal they have here, the Ambassador. I really like this one. This one's cool. So everyone runs their pedal chain a little bit different. I always ran my stuff to go, you know, tuner. On my board, I have a tuner, right? And then after the tuner, I go directly into my overdrives and distortions, and then I put my effects on the end, right? And that's kind of why I like to use the rack, because it kind of makes that, it simulates that here, right? So let's just check out just how this sounds, just like this. We'll just do like So it's got a great tone already. That's just with everything dialed in as it is. I tend to blend this kind of like how I blend in my amp. I turn the treble up a little bit, I bring the mids down a bit, and I bring the bass up just slightly, but I still have that treble there. And of course, just like on any other pedal, you can get more gain by turning up the gain and turning down the volume, right? And there you go. It's just like working any other pedal. All that good stuff, right? And all these pedals work just how they would function in reality, right? You know, you turn up the gain, you get more gain. You turn up the volume, you get more volume, so on and so forth. So check that out. And then, of course, you can EQ here, right? And I EQ very similar to how I EQ my other stuff, right? I might actually add in just a bit more mids than I would before, just to compensate a little bit. I don't want it to be too trebly to where it's blowing your ears up here. But I do have a pretty dark guitar. I play a 335, so this gets a pretty warm sound. Right, so we got a really cool tone here. And the other thing I like to do, if I really wanted to get like a really heavily distorted sound, I tend to stack overdrives. Like on my physical board, I have what we call a transparent overdrive. It's like an overdrive that's just super subtle, and it almost sounds clean, but you can tell there's a little something on there. They have, let me see what they have in here. I know they had one that was pretty close. And I like to stack the overdrives as opposed to throwing a true distortion on there. Here we go. I think this is the tube overdrive. I'll probably stick this one in front. Yeah, this is it. Because if you listen to it, it's not super distorted. I turn the drive down a little more. Bring up those highs a little bit, bring down those lows, bring down the drive just a little bit. Like you're listening to that, you're going, what is that really going to do for you, right? For whatever, it just gives you a bit more cut. So I'm rolling up my tone a little bit. So I'm switching to the neck pickup. It gives you just a little more grit, a little something, right? And what I really like it with, I'm going to bring the gain down on this just slightly, is when we blend them. Now we get this. And just like in a regular pedal board, where you place them matters. So if I went this way, I'm getting more of that ambassador tone. than I am from the tube overdrive here, right? So this is what I like to do to get my tones. I like to stack overdrive pedals. I think it's the way you can, again, you can just blend them and make them sound really cool. Yeah, that's something to get into. It's like a whole thing in itself. I know a lot of dudes who I forgot who got me into this stacking all the overdrives and stuff, but. So now I got a really cool distorted sound. I got a really nice clean tone. I can save this setting and I can use this in a live situation and of course for recording. Excuse me. Great. So now I have a really nice clean tone. I got a cool distorted tone. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to go back to the clean tone. So I'm going to turn off my drivers here and I'm going to start adding some stuff in the rack. So here's the rack options. I'm going to see if I can, I think I just got to drag one on there. Let's go ahead. Let's start with, do a digital chorus. Right? And this is great because this can come out stereo or mono. I really love the stereo setting. It sounds absolutely awesome. And I tend to use, oh, did it switch on me? I can't tell. There we go. There we go. Sorry. So we're in the rack, and this is how I like to put on my different choruses and reverbs, right? So let's go ahead. I'm gonna put in a chorus, and I'm gonna put in. Let's see what kind of reverbs they got over here. Cool. So before I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and turn the reverb all the way down on the amp. We don't want a bunch of reverb. That'll sound crazy. And the options they have for reverbs are really cool, especially in the rack stuff they have here. Let me see. This is the modulation filters, dynamics. Here we go. Reverb. Excellent. Here it is. So they have like some traditional amp sounding reverbs. They have like, you see we have a 63 reverb that's like from a Fender amp. Throw that one in there. We'll probably end up switching that out. And they have really cool ones to get you some just like really cool sounds. They don't have a shimmer reverb one in here. That's really dope. I put it on something, and that one gives you like a lot of like sounds and stuff. Where are we at here? Where's my reverbs? I just lost them. Here we go. Here's that shimmer reverb. We can check this one out. It's pretty crazy sounding. And I will actually switch these. There we go. I like to put the reverb first. Again, that will affect what it is you're doing. And we'll just use, actually, I'll show you what the shimmer one does real quick. The shimmer one will give you. Now we got some real craziness going on with this thing, and you can dial it in and get some absolute madness going on. It's cool. It's really cool. Is this something I would solo with? No. For sure. I don't think I would want to. But what I've been using this for, really, is to when I layer my songs, right? Sometimes I like to throw down like some chords, like if I want to get like a really spacey open feel, right? Say I just had like D major 7 to G major 7 sharp 11, right? So it'd be like. Right, I would layer in stuff like that. I use it for very sparse things and kind of help fill things up. Let's go to more of a traditional reverb. We're just gonna use this digital reverb here, or let's try this hall reverb. Let's throw this one in. This one I thought sounded good. Right, not too much. And again, you can blend it. You can work on the decay. You can get the color. I'm gonna bring the decay down a little bit because I don't want it to be too overbearing on my playing. We don't want it to be too much. And again, I turn the chorus down too. The chorus is actually a lot here too. Turn down that mix and turn down the level. Let me see. Oh, that's what it is. The wave is a little funny here. Oh, come on. There we go. I don't like that jagged wave, and I'm going to turn the rate down a little bit too and get the depth. See, so with your chorus, this depth is how deep these waves are going to go. So right now it's really shimmering really hard, so I'm going to bring that down so it's not like changing the pitch so much. Yeah, I like it like that, not so much. Still present, but not overbearing. That's what I'm kind of always going for. I always want my notes to come first, right? That's the big part of how I like to play. I tend to play a little notey. You know, I play like jazz and fusion stuff and funk. And when you play kind of quick, the more effects you have on there, they tend to get in the way. So you don't want to have none, but you just want to make sure your note is more present in the effect. That's my opinion anyways, of course. Everyone's open to their... Everyone's got their own, but that's mine. Yeah, see? I can work with that. Maybe turn up the decay just a little bit. It feels like it's falling out kind of fast. Yeah. Cool. So let's go back to now that we have our chorus and our reverb set up in our rack, right? You can turn the whole rack on and off here. Say you want to just disable it for whatever reason. Let's go back to that pedal board and we can see our tone with some of the pedals, right? So here's our distorted tone that we built. Right? And then we have our clean tone. So my clean tone is this. I'm just going to go ahead and pop these off. And again, I roll back my tone a little bit. And I switch to the neck pickup on this. We got that really nice. Alright guys, so that is it. So this is how I built some of my tones here with the new AmpliTube 5. Leave your comments below and hopefully you got something out of this. Again, I'm Jesse Ricca. You can follow me here on YouTube. I have my own channel. And you can follow me on Instagram, all that fun social media stuff. Thanks again for tuning in, guys.